What's going on, fam? What's going on? Do it, guys. Y'all, welcome to another episode of No Clue with another week. This is what week 2 of the new year, 2022, and it's crazy already.
That part.
How was y'all weeks? How's y'all week been since last time I saw y'all?
Well, I moved and I've had a 3-day weekend, so I'm enjoying it.
Whoa. Devay?
You know, I'm good. Trying to get used to this blue straight hair. You know, I'm trying to get cute in the new year.
I mean, I saw your Facebook or Instagram one. I don't know which one I'm stalking you on. And I saw you get it done. You were just flipping and flying. I said,
okay. He was like, shake your hair.
Yeah.
Right. You can actually shake it. And it moves.
I can, you know. It's been
DJ, how was your week?
You know, my week has been awesome. I had to go, went to some really cool places, had some really good things. Again, I'm glad it was a long weekend. It was off today, so enjoying that part. So
y'all just gonna rub that in. Some of us had to work today. All right.
Oh well.
Sucks to be you.
Blame your job, not us.
I see. My man agree with me. He said, "No, but my week, y'all, has been a roller coaster of emotion. Good emotion, some bad emotion. It has been a roller coaster, but all in all, I'm excited. The book is finished. I have a cover photo. I have 4 that I'm choosing between. So, fam, I'm gonna be asking y'all for y'all's opinions. They help a brother out. I sent out some snippets for people to give me some reviews on. I haven't got responses from some people.
I can't read and move at the same time. One or the other.
Listen, I'm going to respond, but I'm excited about this book. I'm going to tell you that.
And he did his part. Thanks.
And now I got to plan a gender reveal this weekend.
I'm so excited.
Wait, it's this weekend?
Oh.
Yeah.
I know, because I can't wait to see lyric. It's gonna be so fun. All right, y'all. Well, we caught up. Hey, fam, how was y'all week? Tell us how y'all week was. We tell y'all how our week was every week. We want to know about y'all. Follow us: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Google, Yahoo. Ask Jeeves. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Smoke Signal. Greyhound, Delta, Southwest.
Wow.
In the words of T.S. Madison, Christian Mingle.
I want to revisit this Ask Jeeves, the precursor to the Google.
Right, y'all remember Jeeves?
Let's talk about this.
I just date myself. Wow, yeah. Well, guys, contact us via email at noclubeshow@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts, how you're feeling. If you just want to check in, tell us how your day was. Check in, tell us how your week been. We want to hear from you too. All right, get at us. Let us know. But we're going to get moving with this show. Time for our favorite segment called What? Say What?
Say what?
All right, y'all. So yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, and so I want to know, what did y'all do to pay homage to Dr. Martin Luther King? Terry, Chevay, DJ, did y'all do anything?
No, yesterday was my mom's birthday, so that's the birthday that I
Turn up.
honored.
Also, my mother-in-law's birthday, but we didn't really do anything. We were supposed to go to the museum, but COVID has changed a lot. I really wanted to go though.
Well, I did service. I went and helped my sorority sister set up for her restaurant opening. I put labels on the cups. I did at least 5 bazillion cups and had to take the sticker off and put it on the cup. Take the sticker off and put it on the cup. I did that when I was at work. And so, but I did service, all right? So do y'all think we're losing what Martin Luther King Day was originally for? Like, people just say, "Oh, it's a day off with pay," or just a day off, or do you think people are actually still doing service and things?
So I'm gonna go last because I feel a certain kind of way about the whole thing anyway. But I'm gonna wait till everybody else go.
Okay. Shateria.
I'm trying to get this baby to stop crying in the background.
Wait, did you just combine our names and call me
Yeah.
Shateria?
Yeah.
Y'all remember there was a thing when people were a couple, you put their names together?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Vay, what you think?
I was hoping somebody else was going to talk because I don't too much have an opinion about it. I do know that people still do service. But someone called me actually and asked if I was doing anything. I said no. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't just do service for this type of holiday. I give back around, Christmas and whatnot as well. I don't know. I just feel like to each his own. I celebrate by being able to go, since we are in Atlanta. There's a few things that we could do, go to the house or whatever. We can go to the church. We can go to the museums, usually when they're open. So I think that's really cool being here in Atlanta.
Okay. System and Processes Department.
I said I was going last.
Terry said she got a baby that's crying, and he has.
Fine. Okay, so y'all know, y'all don't know. So I have a whole issue with the Martin Luther King Jr. thing as a whole, right? I have an issue with the fact that that wasn't his government name, but that's how we recognize him. I have an issue with the fact that a lot of the work that he is accredited and attributed to, he did not do, but I understand the political times and the necessity of why he was chosen to be the face of that particular move. So I say all of that to say I have an entire issue with our history being whitewashed and written out, especially the LGBTQ plus component that is associated with his legacy that never gets honored, that never gets hindered, that never gets brought to the forefront. And we celebrate and honor this figurehead that didn't do anything but show up. African American women wrote his speeches. A gay black man facilitated all of the meetings, all of the marches, all of the logistics behind the things that he did. And even when we think about him crossing the bridges and doing Selma and those type of things, none of that stuff happened when he was there. It all happened to everybody else, and it happened to the bystanders, and it happened to the common everyday man. And so those are the people that I think we should celebrate, and not just this whitewashed historical record of what we believe it's supposed to look like.
But just to piggyback, I think the biggest issue is a lot of us don't know that because that's not what we're taught in school.
Very
we're taught
true.
that he is this, this big figure, that he did this and he did that. But in reality, you just put reality out there. He didn't do a lot of these things. So we're going based off of what we were taught.
So I agree with DJ because I went to Selma, Alabama, and I went to the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and I went by myself, which I should never do things like that because I feel spirits. And there was unrest and an uneasy feeling there. And so when I went and did my research and read the markers and things like that, the people who were attacked by dogs and hoses were before Dr. King and all the rest of the civil rights icons got there. When they marched, they had a peaceful march. The people who were attacked was before them. So I do feel what he's saying. But I do appreciate at least they recognize somebody. But I do think that's where we need to step in, I think, as a people and start telling our history because people don't know.
And we do, right? And we have, at least in every major city, there is some type of African American history museum, right? And it may not be as all encompassing as the Smithsonian African American History Museum, which is awesome, and it takes multiple days to get through it. And I want to go back and do that again. But there are these markers and there are these things, and I think it's just a matter of us not being lazy. Like we have to stop being lazy and be proactive. We have to stop relying on other people to spoon feed us information and find it out for ourselves.
I agree, but the only thing is, like, I've been to the museum here, for example, and
Mhm.
I'll keep it real with you. I didn't know some of the stuff you were just saying, but I did find out you didn't either. That's just me being transparent.
No, and I
Um,
mean I appreciate that, and this is why y'all know this is why we have the space that we have, so
yeah,
we can have
yeah.
real conversation.
Yeah, I didn't really know that. And it's honestly, even if you look at the history that's put into the museums and stuff, that would mean that some of that stuff is not necessarily the truth. So even if we are trying
Mhm.
to get educated, a lot of times I don't feel like truth is offered as easy or as accessible as, what people want to feed us. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Because I really didn't know. And I love to read, I love history. So,
So in undergrad, I took an African American study class, right? African American studies. I'm African American. And so when I walked in class, our professor
lies.
was a white man. Not a white man, he was a white man. This man was ivory white. He was white, right? And so we all sit in class and we look at him like, how he gonna teach us our history? You know what I'm saying? And he wrote a question on the board and he said, if you get this question right, you get 100 in my class. You never have to come back. You pass, no question. So we was like, bet, let's do this. So he said, just write your answer on a piece of paper, fold with your name, fold up, come up here, place it on my desk, and go back to your seat. Who was who was the first woman to not give up their seat on the bus? Baby, when I said our pen Rosa Parks, we folded that paper. I know I proudly marched down them stadium stairs, dropped it in the desk. Well, I was like, this is the easiest A I ever got. Like, we like, man, this was the easiest. I should take this. And he was like, wrong, wrong, wrong. We was like, what the
Mhm.
you mean wrong? He was like, nope. She was not the first. There was a 15-year-old
Real
girl who was
girl.
pregnant who did not fit the bill. And because she didn't fit the bill, they didn't choose her and they went with her. I said, your mama. I mean, I was
That's
upset that
crazy.
this man is telling me my history, and I feel like I should. This means we should know. But I do think there's more to it than we should know. I know the King family personally. I've had conversations that you guys will find out some things are being released publicly soon from the government. So there's some things that are going to come out that's going to shock the world, and I'm just like, yeah, just in the famous words of Scar from Lion King, be prepared. But let's pick this up a little bit. Today is the 100th birthday of Miss Betty White, Rose Nyland from St. Olaf.
Let me
Did y'all
insert my
Google her?
song.
I did. That was
Did you
so
Google,
cute.
Google
Yeah.
her?
You go if y'all haven't Googled Rose Nyland, I mean Google Betty White.
Anyway.
Google Betty White. Betty White was nominated for 57 awards, of which she won 27. A lot of them were from the Golden Girls. This woman was in her 90s, still doing sitcoms,
We're gonna
still
go ahead and
doing
give her 100.
movies.
She was so close.
Well, technically speaking, because the world revolves in 23 and a half
Yeah.
minutes, 23 hours and a half. So technically speaking, if you add in all the halves we've lost, she actually was 177 years,
There you go.
100 years and 77 days old. So she made 100. But I just was, I want to be like that if I make it that old, I want to still have that fire, that laugh, that love of life. She made jokes about when she, back when she was born, when they wrote the dinosaurs to school, like she made jokes about it. So I want that passion, I want that thrill, I want that love for life. So, Betty White, Rose Nyland, thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. Doom, doom, doom. And if you don't
If you start singing, I'm joining.
Right.
Listen, my friends had a whole funeral for Betty. Okay, we did our own thing.
Yeah.
Rest in
I'm here
peace.
for it. Like I am here for it because I think that funeral is gonna be so packed and so many because
Agreed.
she was a good person. Like she
But
really was.
not even that. I mean, if you really just look at her life and really think about like how Betty really represented for people of color and
Mhm.
how she really stood in the forum for people of color, oppressed persons, LGBTQ plus persons. A lot of the stuff, even though she did it in her own comedic and stylish format, that stuff was very revolutionary during the times that she was doing it. And it caused a lot of the stuff that she did that's lesser popular to be canceled because she was so adamant about those equal rights for people who were oppressed.
I was gonna say because she had the Betty White show. You guys may
She
not know.
did.
She had a black dancer, and people said, "Hey, you need to cut him out because you know your audience isn't like this." She was like, "Okay, got it." And she gave him a longer segment on the show, and she said he stays. And so she was always an advocate for, I'm gonna say, the underdog. You know, the LGBTQ plus community. At the time of her age, it was just LGBT. I don't think we had the Q plus. We hadn't been elevated yet. And she was an animal rights activist. Like she supported every rescue center, every zoo. She loved animals to the nth degree. So I love me some Betty. I'm gonna miss Rose Nyland. I know my grandmother is up in heaven. She got all her Golden Girls together.
Listen,
They're reacting some
Mhm.
shows and having some fun. I bet
I think we just need new episodes. They need to be. They're the heavenly Golden Girls now.
come through.
Believe it or not, y'all, I have never watched an episode of Golden Girls.
Okay, no, we're gonna have to do this one weekend because I've seen every last
Oh.
episode.
Oh, that's the big one.
Yeah, that's the big one.
This is the big
Oh,
That's
one.
definitely the big one.
Oh,
Never.
Not one.
not one girl. You gotta start from the beginning. And you will. My grandmother has watched every episode at least 9,322.
and then
I sleep to them every night, basically, like
And-
literally.
and then when you see it, you're gonna see how progressive they really were.
They were.
True.
Just as a group, it was such a progressive series.
And Rose
It
made like
was.
when Blanche's son came and said, "I'm gonna marry. We're getting married," and Rose like, "You can't marry her. That's your sister." Well, then again, you are from the South. Like, oh,
And that's the gag too. When you find out who the true hoe is, that's the gag.
right. Long live the hoe. Come on,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the one who they portray to be the hoe is really not a hoe.
No, she was not.
Terry, we're gonna have a Golden Girls weekend, and we're gonna be.
I'm so here for this.
As a matter of fact, we're going to the cabins and we're gonna watch Golden Girls the whole weekend.
I'm down.
But the only problem is DJ Chavez. We can't be saying all the lines. Terry watch.
Right. But there are some classic zingers on there, like
Yes.
that you just know.
Hold up, let's see. It's 4 of us on this here show. Who would be who on the Golden Girls?
I knew you
Y'all
were
tell
gonna
me
do this.
because someone already told me who they think I am. So y'all tell me.
I can't name nobody because I never watched it.
Oh, okay. So let's see.
DJ is definitely Dorothy because that's just in process piece.
Yes.
Has all the knowledge and the wisdom.
I don't think I'm Dorothy. I think I'm more Sophia.
No, you are definitely Dorothy. Dorothy was
Okay,
smart
but I could see Sophia too.
because he's
Right.
So I would say I'm Sophia because I stay in trouble, and Sophia always has stuff getting her in trouble. And every
True
time we
that.
have a show, I'm staying in trouble.
Okay.
True that.
Okay.
Okay. So then that means Blanche and Rose.
Which one am I? I'm curious.
This is some good water, Jesus.
hmm I've been told it was between those two, so we already right.
Well, so okay, so I'm gonna say Chavez is Rose Nyland.
Yep.
It's gonna be Blanche Neville.
I can
Yep.
see that.
And this is because Tyra told us about her past. So
And exactly, I can see that.
Who is she? Let me Google this.
You gotta
lady.
Google.
okay, well,
You can do that during the break.
y'all, we will be back after this commercial break with the main. With the main.
Undercover hoe.
That
Oh,
is a
man, we
great
came
way.
back to that.
That's a great way to come back in. So, welcome back, fam. Let's get it done. Y'all see, I'm doing something a little different today. I'm embracing a side of my inner Janelle Monae with the black and white on, with the monochromatics is how she
I'm
rolls.
feeling this.
But I'm doing it because tonight is all about music. We want to talk about the history of music. We want to talk about where we've been, where it's going, what it looks like. So before I dive into all of that, I have a question for you guys. What is the first song that you ever remember learning all of the lyrics to?
Ooh. Um. Ooh.
I'm gonna tell y'all. Want to know what mine was? I start. I go first. The first song that I can remember knowing all of the lyrics to and watching the videos, which is a plus, was "New Kids on the Block, the Right Stuff." I know I dated myself, but that's okay. That's gonna help in this conversation.
Um, Mine was I would hold up the lighter and sing "Purple Rain" by Prince while watching the show. I hate y'all because I would be crying because that was an intense moment in the movie. Purple Rain.
Oh my. I'm not. Ooh. I don't know. This.
I was gonna say you asking a singer, and I have no idea because the bishop had me learning songs.
Quick.
Chevet's first song was "How I Got Over."
Probably.
No, her first song was probably "Jesus Is Real" because that was a little.
Take
You
me
know
to
what?
Mainly
That was
during that
actually
time.
it was one of the first.
See?
That was one of the first.
Oh, I don't know. That's hard.
Okay, so I'm gonna segue into the next question, and I'm still gonna come back to you, Terry. So you think on that. What was the first song you heard or you listened to that expressed your first heartbreak?
Ooh,
That express what now?
Your
heartbreak.
first heartbreak.
Don't laugh at me. Because I'm the youngest one on here. Don't laugh at me.
What
Chris
was
Chris Brown, Say Goodbye. I remember that day.
Okay.
That was little Chris Brown.
Oh man, this is hard. You got us with these.
It's gonna get easy, but it's a reason why I'm doing this on the forefront. Doc, what you got?
Somebody gonna say, "Is there a heart in the house tonight?"
My first heartbreak song was what was it? Unbreaking My Heart. I remember that Tony Braxton album very well. Doc, you still there? You froze? Okay, we're gonna wait for him to
I
come back.
think mine would be "Don't Take It Personal" by Monica.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, had technical difficulties. Mine would be "Don't Laugh at Me." Mary J. Blige. I was your lover and your
Go Terry. You gotta
secretary,
say it like she said.
working every day.
Day of the week.
Baby, I mean, I wasn't the lover. I was the lover, but not the secretary. That was a beat, and so she got me through. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about something along those lines a little bit later because you brought up something important. Terry, your answers, and then I'm gonna loop into the heart of this combo.
My answer of what? The first question?
First one,
I'm not a music head. That's the problem.
Okay, so then what's the second question?
I said the "Don't Take It Personal."
You did say that. I'm sorry.
Monica, ATL.
So I started with that because I'm gonna kind of jump around a little bit because the first thing I want to talk about is music has some input. It's done for a reason. There are some trends. There are some things. It's what some things that it's supposed to be. There are some things behind it. But I found this quote on the internet that said Black music on the radio is nearly 100% weaponized at this point. There's virtually no balance, no love songs, no ballads, just hypersexualized buffoonery. What do y'all think about that?
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Bless you, man. Because somebody just sneezed. They need a blessing.
No, he dropped all my pens.
I agree. Because all you hear about is shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, fuck 'em up. Shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, having sex.
Rakia is gonna be coming at 5.
I tell people, my nephew had me listen to this song one day, and the song said, "I'm gonna rape a pregnant girl so I can tell my friends I had a threesome." And he wanted to see my reaction to it. I was like, "What?"
Stop. We're gonna get there. Hold on to that. That's coming.
I hope we're not gonna get there. I don't want to do that.
We're gonna get to that. Chevette, what you got?
That just threw me off. I was clutching my pearls, honey.
Did y'all hear the Kentucky come out? I was
Yes, definitely. Music has completely changed. I talk about it all the time. I'm a 90s baby, and to me that was the best time for music besides like Motown, because I like all the old school too. I surprise my granddaddy when I know the old songs. He'd be like, "How you know that?" Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I don't think it's just black music. I think it's music in general. And that was the problem that I had with that quote. It says black music. And yes, we know a lot of our music is in those veins. That's what sells, that's what gets records, that's what does it. But it's not just black music. It continues over into all mainstream music. And even if you listen to other genres or other subgenres of music, they're carrying over that same kind of capacity as well. So I'm saying all of that to say we're gonna get right into it, and let's start about the authenticity of music. What do y'all think? Now, then, what's more authentic? What's less authentic? What are y'all feelings behind that?
So I think the olden days was nasty because they had some songs where the ladies say, "I got nipples that lead down to the nose and some between my legs make a grown man cry."
Yes, I heard that.
I said, "Oh my Jesus!" But when you get into like the Motown era, I think that's when it was authentic, because in that era, what they talked about was life. Like they talked about, if loving you is wrong, then I don't want to do right. Listen to the words of that song. Now, the one who had me messed up was, "Hey Shirley, this is Bob." I had to fight. If you call me and say this such, the man you sleeping with is my okay. Nowadays, I think they live in a fantasy life. Like they claiming they got this money that they ain't got. They claim that, who was that rapper that came out that he claimed he was shot so many times and he shot people, and come to find out you came from middle America. You ain't never had a gun, ain't never been shot, you ain't even got a record, but you claim you was locked up for so many months and stuff. I just think it's all buffoonery.
Okay.
Don't know what that word was, but just take it.
Well, I know where you were going with that, so we're gonna loop past that. Artery.
So I'm gonna do I'm gonna do the opposite. I think the music now is more authentic because people are actually living out what they're rapping about right now. They're making it a reality. People are actually doing it. So I think the music now is more authentic. Granted, some of the music back then was authentic. However, it was more so that one, to me, it seems more of a fantasy, something that they wanted to have or needed to have, if that makes any sense.
Okay, I can see that. Shabbat.
I'm kind of in between. At first, I didn't agree with what Arteria was saying. And the reason why is because I think about songs that like my little 15-year-old little brother be rapping, and I'm like, bruh, you have been raised in the suburbs your entire life. What are you talking about? And a lot of those kids, like we talk about it, a lot of those rappers sometimes are not really living out those lyrics, especially talking about going to shoot this one and that. A lot of times they might not even own a gun, truthfully, which is interesting to me. But I also agree with what Arteria is saying with some of the music. Maybe R&B-ish, but I don't know about the rap. To me, old school rap was more authentic.
So I think from an authentic lens or standpoint, I'm gonna have to go with older music, or music then is more authentic. And I'm gonna tell you why. those ballads, those love songs, those arias, those things, they hit emotion. Emotion is the true essence of an experience. If you don't have any emotion behind the experience, it's not authentic. There's nothing to subject it to. That's why I started this conversation asking y'all what songs were tied to either that happy place of a feeling or that very sad place of a feeling. Because music is supposed to have that space. It's supposed to be able to guide us through something, or it's supposed to lift us up through something, or at least give us some type of message of encouragement or hope to get us through something. And I don't think this, all my girls on the left, pop it on the right, drop it down in a circle and rob every bank in America. That ain't doing it for me. Like I don't have nothing for them. I don't. Oh, I forgot. You got to get your hair and your nails done too while you're doing
Right. And then twerk some.
it. Right. Because that's important.
Ain't nobody. I got bronchitis.
Right. So you can't do it because, like I said, you got to twerk something. You got to get your hair and your nails done, and you gotta freak on something.
Yep.
Those are the 4 requirements now.
That's how you survive.
But what she say, hoe is life, hoe is life, hoe is life.
Who say that?
I mean, that's what a lot of the music is saying.
You
They
starting to
do.
act like me.
They say hoe is life.
I wish my little daughter would run up, Daddy, hold us like. I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, that was my daughter.
I mean, she ain't got to use those exact words, but in a nutshell, that's what's being said.
Mhm.
Well, see, that's like Cardi B. Cardi B said her daughter, her children are allowed to listen to her music. They don't know Cardi B. They don't know who that is. And she know at some point they're gonna hear her music, but for now, they don't know that. They know Mama.
And to that point, though, or back to the original question, is that being authentic?
That's just like Tiana Taylor's daughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's all in her music.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Literally.
So, have y'all heard the show Rap Game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I watched one episode of Rap Game because it was sensory overload. But this one girl was on there from Brooklyn, and she was rapping, and they put the subtitles for Cardi because I didn't know what the heck she was saying. But she told her, she was like, what you rapping about is life. All I talk about is sex. I sell sex because that's all I know how to sell. But you're talking about real stuff. So to me, Cardi knows what she's saying is BS, but she knows that's what sells.
Well, let's talk about that because that can go into this conversation about authenticity. Is the packaged product that we're selling authentic?
No. Yes and no. I'm gonna say yes and no because the product that Lil Nas is selling, that's authentic because he's been his 100% true self, and he'll give it. Who cares? But then the product, some what other people are selling, it ain't.
Okay.
I agree. Go ahead, Terry.
Ooh. Go ahead. Ooh.
Come on, Sheree. I was gonna loop back to you last Sheree because I knew you had something to add to this.
You already know
that was gonna be there.
I say no. I think about artists like I'm not gonna say one of my favorite artists. My favorite artist ever is PJ Morton, and he has this song called Claustrophobic. And he says the first part of it is PJ, you're not quite street enough. Basically, he's talking to the record label, and he's basically making it a point that he had to go independent because what they wanted from him was going completely against what his musical identity was. I love PJ for the fact that he stays who he is. I love authenticity in music. I can't stand when people are front or even just trying to sell sex. I mean, if you sexy, you just sexy. Amen.
Amen. All right, Thierry.
Y'all would pick a topic of music, something I really don't listen to.
That's so funny.
I mean, but from what you see and what you think, it's no right or wrong. It's just like, what do you think? Do you think what you see out there in magazines and on TV and on film, those things that are packaged together, those brands, do you think that's an authentic version of that person, or do you think it's something else?
No, absolutely not. I think a lot of these people are doing what they think is going to sell. Cardi B, that lady know what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. She know what's going to sell her, because if you take the Cardi B before she had her body and stuff done, and put her out with that music, think people are about her music then? No. They're looking at her image right now and they're tying her music to what she looks like now. Just like Tiana Taylor. Now her music, on a different her music is kind of iffy sometimes with her music. So her music is up and down. So I mean, it's a yes and a no type thing.
And I mean, I'm with you guys. I think sometimes the package is absolutely authentic, but that's the package that doesn't sell, right? That's the one that sits on the shelf. That's the one that, it takes somebody who is really into music and wants the substance behind music to put you on to that. And you're like, oh, who was that? That was dope. But that's not what you're going to see when you open the magazines. That's not what you're going to see when you Google that person. It's not what you're going to see when you look at Billboard Top 10 or Top 100 or Hot 100. Like, you're not going to see those persons, right? You're going to see those cut and dry, really bold, kind of in your face kind of things that we talked about and how they're like those things and what they do and all of that. So again, back to the things about, the differences in being authentic or not. Let's talk about the overuse of vulgarity. Do you think that's just something that happens recently? Is that something that we've seen across the board?
I don't think it was a recent thing. I think it's been happening, but the way that it's being done now is more noticeable. It's done now in a way that's not so classy, if that makes sense.
I couldn't have said it better. Actually, I completely agree with that.
Okay.
I think they just cuss because they ain't got nothing to say.
They have no better vocabulary.
It just tastes better when you add a cuss word on.
The B word, I mean, does work well at the end of a lot of sentences.
It tastes like chicken. Shut up.
But is it that, or is it just that they don't really have nothing to say at all?
So honestly, in the beginning, Roman's Revenge, I kind of like Nicki. But if you think about what does Nicki Minaj say?
Not a mother. Okay, let me not a thing.
It just has a beat to it, and you just curse and be like, just loud with it, and ignorant. It makes no sense. So I think you just curse because cursing is what people like to hear. Because cursing makes you hard. Like if you curse, that means you hard, you real mad. You know what I'm saying? When you go up to you, be like, oh shoot, fire. And you be like, oh mother, you son of a
fudge.
Like I think it shows that they mad, like they real hard, like I don't kill no more, like I don't give a.
But Cardi, back to Cardi. Every other word of her is a curse word.
It is.
Like every other word is a curse word for her. But with her music, she talks, to be completely honest. I'm trying to talk. To be completely honest, with her music, she talks about her past. If y'all actually listen to her music, but her vocabulary is a lot of cuss words.
Yes, and I think that does appeal to a certain demographic. I think we have absolutely did that, and you're right. It does appeal to a certain demographic, but it's not. It doesn't take the place of actual words because it's like, how many times can you find a word to rhyme with B or MS? It's only so many syllables and so many things that you're going to use to say the same thing.
Well, so I would say on that is that I don't like is that instead of referring to a female as a female, they always the B word. And so now men are thinking it's okay to just say, call it A, B, come here. You know what I mean? Because that's the word they've used to refer to women. And in some cases, women refer to you as the women.
Yes.
I was going to say the women use it the most.
They do.
Right. And so it makes it come. But then when you go to the H, what's up? Why you calling? I mean, but that's what you've been called. I mean, I preached that one time. You let people call you everything under the sun, but if they call you blessed, you get an attitude.
Okay, so that's getting into something different. Let's talk about the influence of music. The influence in the past to the current influence, because you kind of leaned into something that I think is important in that conversation. What are y'all thoughts? Is it a positive influence? Is it a negative influence? What does that look like?
I think it depends on the person, because for me, there's always been an influence when it comes to music, to the point where before, and I'm gonna tell a little bit of my business, but before I was even sexually active, I really love R&B music, right? So a lot of stuff was being said that I didn't understand at that age. So it was one of the distractions of my mind, kind of getting me to think about things that really I was too young for. You know what I mean? But music has a great influence in my life in general, just because it's who I am. You know what I mean? But it just depends, because like you have Terry, who may not really listen to a bunch of music. You know what I'm saying? All the time. It just depends on the person.
Okay.
I agree.
I know I was too young to listen to Genuine's Pony, because now that I'm a grown man, I know what he was talking about in that song.
The songwriter
And he
said,
went,
"If you're," I'm just playing.
Right. Read.
I just was like, right. I thought he was talking about a real pony, but now that I'm a grown man, I'm just
No, you
like,
didn't. You ain't got to tell the people that lie. No, you didn't. You
I
thought you
was
knew what that
innocent when
was.
I was littler.
Lie.
We're gonna have to do a who's the real hoe.
Right.
So to that
Well,
point, though, was that an
well,
influence?
Rose, we already know that answer.
I knew you was gonna say.
But DJ, I do believe that music has an influence on the community, and I would say in the common era, it's a negative impact, because when I was growing up, we wore our pants around our waist. If you look at the rappers, they start wearing their pants below their waist, but no, not below their waist, below their butts, and now everybody feel like, oh, in prison that means you're somebody's property. That means that booty is claimed.
Mm-hmm.
But it means something different for me. No, that's the same way as if I use the N word with y'all, it means the same thing as if a Caucasian person or another person uses it. Who uses it doesn't change the meaning of the word or the definition of it. And so I think my personal opinion is they're utilizing music to enslave us, because we follow what music tells us to do. Like one of the artists say that he dropped out of school, and look at him now, he's a millionaire. So now children are thinking, oh, I can drop out of school and be a millionaire like him. That's not how this works. You're one in a bazillion who looked up and had that success.
And that was art school, but that's a whole nother conversation.
You said, huh?
One of those things is another person who said the same thing, but they dropped out of art school. They have a whole master's of business, MBA, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh,
But I agree with you. I think music can have a negative or a positive influence, and I think we often look at the negative influences. But let's think about the positive influences of the past. How there are songs of uplifting, right? When we think about slavery, and we think about all of those other times, we had songs like, what's the song? It's music that showed I can't think of it right now, on the tip of my tongue. But there are songs like, in the 70s and the 80s, and especially during the civil rights era, a lot of those songs were uplifting. They were moving. They were made to kind of create change or spark change, and not
What's
necessarily
going on?
in a negative effect. What's going on is a great example of that. And those people were then considered to be, hoodlums and uprising and troublemakers and risky, but they were speaking about truth and speaking about truth and experience. And so
Just
I'm
like,
saying that
is
to
that,
say
is that the Michael Jackson song "We Are the World"?
that actually is a great example of another positive influence of trying to tell everybody that, it's all a collective human race, not just this whole kind of systematic, seamless thing. And even with that whole "We Are the World" thing, if you look at that video, it's tons of people in
Mm-hmm.
there from all different ethnicities, all kinds of backgrounds, all different world cultures are represented there. So I think that's another example of something that's a great positive influence.
I agree. He did another one. We Are the World knows another one they did, wasn't it?
Mike did
Oh,
a lot of stuff.
that was when they remade it for Haiti, and then the Sage people came and did one with Kirk.
Well,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
You know,
But then, but Mike also did, songs like "Man in the Mirror."
black or white.
He did do "Black or White." Oh, and I don't. They don't really care about us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he did Scream with Janet Demita Joe Jackson.
Oh my God.
Did they?
He really did.
But
Because
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
Come on, we the Devilman Twins. Both of us said, but both of us said, go ahead. But those songs had meanings behind them. Like Scream, people think it was just a. I mean, that's still to date the most expensive music video ever produced, because it was like a whole movie. But he's like, you're sick and tired of all the stuff they keep saying about you and talking about you and doing to you. He's like, it just makes you want to scream. Black or white, he was saying whether you black or white, they gonna hate on you no matter, because when he was black, they hated. When he was white, they hated. So he's like, no matter what you do, they gonna like Mike was. He taught truths, and Mike told you stories.
I want you to know he did not change races. Y'all gonna stop telling that lie.
Well, I mean, he was. Let me
You
express.
know,
I
now the old folks say he
don't.
was born a black man and died a white woman, but we ain't gonna honor that today.
You know,
Mike was black.
Rest in
I know
peace,
people who have
MJ.
the alopecia and
Okay.
they have the spots. I ain't never seen somebody fully go from jet black to pure white. Now I know God's chemical laboratory of redemption can take my black
That's another
soul
conversation.
and dip it in red blood.
Oh, well, no. Let's have that conversation though, right? That's a negative influence of music, right? Teaching
That
us to
was.
not to have this self-hating imagery about ourselves.
Yup.
Yeah.
What y'all thoughts on that?
Mike did it.
It wasn't just Mike.
Yeah, I could say it sure wasn't.
Don't blame the king of pop.
It started from the people who taught him. Let's look at Berry Gordy. Let's look at Motown. Let's look at the people that they've chosen and that they selected. Were they all not of a fairer complexion? Did they all not have a kind of more refined Western European kind of aesthetic to them?
Well, that's also
In the earlier
because
stages, yes, in the earlier
yeah,
stages.
but that's also because a lot of times what was happening is like our people, black people, were putting out music, and a lot of times because we did not have the money to protect our music, it was getting stolen at that time by the other race. So we tried to start to do things to make ourselves more appealing
Hmm.
to the other communities.
That's just like what's the movie? It's either
It's in
Five Heartbeats,
Dreamgirls.
Jackson 5. It's like one of them too.
Yeah.
You know, they came out with the song, and then the same record label had the white group, the
Yep.
white group
Hmm.
come out and do the same song.
It happened in Dreamgirls
And
too with
Dreamgirls.
Cadillac. Yep.
Got me a Cadillac car. I got me a Cadillac.
That's exactly what they sounded like.
I've learned to enjoy slower songs like that.
But I'm saying that to say though, those things didn't help to hear people have a skin complex.
I agree.
And we saw that translate, or even when you talk about hair, and that's where we got the nappy and good hair kind of thing from that
Yeah.
Spike illustrates in School Days very well in Straight or Nappy, which is what the
Yep.
actual song is actually called. And it's long, but that's what all of those things stem from, right? Because you have to have a certain content, a certain look to fit into a certain image. And if you didn't get that, you didn't get access. And we talked about respectability politics a long time, but all of that stuff kind of comes in the same vein. And a lot of that had huge influences through the music that was conveyed.
True.
Agreed. Well, you know, back in the day, songs was the way we freed the slaves because they thought we were just singing, but our songs had meaning.
Mhm.
Like Wade in the Water actually has a meaning to it.
Come
It's
on.
not just a song that you sing. It's that when you heard them singing Wade in the Water, that means if you're fleeing, you need to go through some water because they have the dogs coming at you now.
I feel like you need to take up an offering for that word.
And follow the drinking gourd. That's how you knew. So
Yeah.
follow the North Star and follow the dippers to get to where you needed to be. There are all of these things that, we take for granted that are part of, especially people of color. Music is an integral part of our experience.
Right.
I
A
got
huge part. But back to the whole thing. Let's talk about the hypersexualization of music now. What y'all think?
It's been happening. The songwriter, one of my favorite songs is Juicy Fruit.
Yes. You got to know how to get in there.
You know?
What song?
That's the point, though.
it. It was a pack of gum.
But see,
Juicy
that's the
Fruit.
point. If you think about it, right? Back in the day, they were equally as nasty. They
It was
just
more
were
subtle.
covert. It wasn't this whole overt, like spread your legs, lick out my tongue, sit on my face. Like it wasn't that. They kind of caressed you into it. You had to figure out what it was gonna do. Have it gonna be, yeah, I said it. We're gonna move past that.
I'm waiting on Rakia to pop up.
But those are the things that you did, and so it was still embedded in that same kind of messaging. It just wasn't in your face.
Wasn't hotels.
That part.
But it was some motels. Not Holiday Inn.
Sick.
Well,
All right.
I like Theodis Eatley because he wrote that song and said, "You ain't get a doggone thing until you stand up in it."
Come on.
Just like that
Or-
Clarence Thomas.
Huh?
Like Clarence Thomas. A lot of his music was
I be stroking.
yeah.
Ow!
Mhm.
That's what I be doing, baby. When I was little, that's what I be hitting the floor. I didn't know what the heck they were talking about, but I be stroking, baby. Look,
Yes.
Now,
guys,
what about the influence of drugs or alcohol use? You think
yeah,
music has contributed to that? Has it not? Did it do anything positive, negative?
I think music contributes to it because I remember as a child watching a commercial that had a song on it, and I wanted meth.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember the drug? Get these drugs
Did
up
y'all
out
go
of
for them,
this.
please?
Get these
Meth,
drugs up
drugs,
out of this.
alcohol,
Meth,
meth.
meth. Yeah, yeah, I wanted meth. I didn't know what meth was, but I wanted meth because that was a hot song.
What was that back then?
That was when they had the whole war on drugs thing, and they were trying to, kind of make it appealing so people would kind of want to go into that. And again, utilizing music as a caveat to kind of do that, but it backfired, and we see that in a huge way.
The music now don't really talk too many talk about it, but not as much.
Yeah, we mostly making babies.
Yeah.
Right. I feel
I
like that
don't
part's
know.
more
They
subtle in
they
music.
pop. They still popping bottles. They still hitting blunts. They still serving. They still slinging.
So maybe
And
we're
then they
missing the
making a
lingo.
baby. And then they going home and making a baby. Or they might be doing it on the way. You never know. If she couldn't pay her debt, they might have been doing that to get through it.
What I've noticed is that they're saying things that I don't really understand.
That
My little brother says
Mhm.
stuff, and I'd be like, what do you mean? What is that?" And he would just crack up laughing. So I just think that we don't understand what's happening these days.
So
That's
what does
very
it
real.
mean when they say we're gonna rape a pregnant woman and tell my friends I had a threesome? What does that mean? You're nasty.
that's just disgusting. Stop saying that.
And what I
That's so
told
foul.
I said, well, teacher, let me ask you this question. If you rape a pregnant woman, she pregnant with a man, don't that make him gay now since he had a threesome with a man? And he was like,
Okay, so let's
but I
have
mean,
the conversation. We're gonna leave that there. I'm gonna come back. Let's have the conversation about the conversation that we all want to have. Does all new music sound
yes, it's the same beat.
the
I I'm in between on that. It depends on what you're listening to. The music they play on the radios, sure. Except for Jasmine Sullivan, let's exclude her because that last album was everything.
we
But you
we
got
gonna get to some exclusions, but that's a great
okay,
start.
okay. Let me go ahead and let you talk because I'm getting into your message.
You can keep going. I'm just saying we're gonna talk about some exceptions in this.
Yeah, I feel like it just depends on what you're listening to because I don't listen to a lot of stuff that's on the radio, but I get alerts when some of my favorite artists, for example, drop music on Apple Music, like Alex Isley, Gene Noble,
Mhm.
types of artists that I listen to that a lot of people don't know about that have a really great collection of music.
Okay, Terry, was you gonna say something? No. Okay. that.
Um, no. Yeah, I was gonna say because what I was gonna say was gonna sound real racist, and I don't want y'all to think I'm racist. But the music nowadays is starting to sound like the Mexican music. You know how they have like doom 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 doom. Every song got that same beat. Every song they come out in the rap song, it's all got the same beat, including, and I'm gonna say it, they gonna hate me. Beyonce, all her music got the same beat.
I
I'm
am
so
not a
glad you brought
Beehive
that
fan.
up. I'm
Oh,
so glad you brought that up. But hold on to that. Hold on to that for just a few moments. So I think it all does sound the same, and I think that that's one of the reasons why, if you look at the current trends, a lot of what we consider to be older music is outselling this current music because it does all sound the same. Every artist sounds the same. You can't nowadays. You can't differentiate whether it's whoever versus whoever. They all sound exactly the same. The beats sound exactly the same. There's no level of creativity. There's no level of artistry. It's not like it was before, where it's like my favorite artist is Stevie Wonder. There's a definitive sound and a definitive sketch. There's a definitive set of keystrokes, and you immediately know that's Stevie Wonder. And that's even before he starts singing on the track.
I
That you're
so
gonna
agree with
know
that.
that's Stevie. Just like with Raphael Sadiq. He does the same thing, who is also one of my favorite artists. Raphael Sadiq is amazing. But it's the same thing. There's a definitive set of guitar strings, there's keystrokes, there's tones, there's a bass sound that you're gonna know is definitive and reflective of Raphael Sadiq. Those artists don't have that. They just don't.
Or how about this? It was the 1st of November. Everybody, you know,
Come on.
when you
But
if you watch the versus battles, every song sounds different. You listen to the modern versus battles, the band plays one note and they just sing their song over that one note.
but that's an interesting concept that you brought up too. Is that Motown was a distinct sound, right?
Yes.
And so you know that era because it's a distinct sound. It's a doo-wop sound. It's a barbershop kind of
True.
boom, 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 boom kind of sound. You know all of those things when you hear it. But again, that's my point. We can differentiate between those things because of the level of artistry. Now it's out. You don't even have to be able to sing. Can you piece this package? Can I sell this? I can make you sound like whatever I want you to sound like through computer and auto tune. I don't
But
need you to do nothing but stand there.
you're making a good point though, because when you talk about the Motown era, everything did kind of sound similar. I mean, you
It is.
would know who the artists were, but we're saying the same thing for the music today. So that's kind of interesting to me.
But that's my point. And that's what I'm getting at. Like we harp on this modern type of sound, right?
Yeah,
And we do that because now we are our parents. So we like, what is this that you have on?
true. True.
But when you really think about it, it's following the same trends like fashion or any other pop culture trend. It all rolls itself over and it starts to repackage and get rebranded under a certain thing and a certain aesthetic, which Doc brought up Beyonce. She is nothing but a prepackaged, yeah, I said it, Beehive, be mad, I don't care. She is nothing but a prepackaged version of Diana Ross, Janet Jackson, and Tina Turner, all combined into one visually, aesthetically pleasing package. Because that's what it's about. Only she can sing. We know she can sing. We know you can sing. Just stop acting.
But see, now
Hey,
she got what's the girl, Chloe, coming behind her,
Hmm.
doing the exact same thing.
Kay, we want you to know we still love you, okay?
We do, but yeah, that's real. That's fact.
But
So the last thing I'm gonna talk about, and then we're gonna wrap up because I know we're getting to the later part of the hour, is packaging. How was music packaged then compared to how it's packaged now?
it ain't. Because back then you had to go to Walmart and buy a vinyl or a CD.
That
Now,
is what's different. Talk. Let's
I was
talk.
going to
That's
say,
what I
wait a
want to
minute, when the last time I bought a CD?
talk about.
you know, I went to Walmart Nashville. I was like, Lord, they still make these things. But I think
Oh, there
now the
is
way
no
it's
packaging.
back
No,
then
there's
music
not.
was packaged with a meaning. Now it's packaged with sex. If you got big bubbies and a big butt, or you can get big bubbies and a big butt, or you look like a thug, you know, you got 6-pack and a
Hmm.
thug body, or you come from the hood and you that's what they packaging. LL Cool J, you still six. I don't care how old you is.
Oh my god.
But back to
Wow.
the point,
Wow.
which is what I was trying to get at. When you talked about CDs and distribution, I want to stay in that vein. Let's talk about that. CDs versus streaming. Or let's look at the trend now. People are going back to buying vinyls. Lots of people are buying vinyls.
And I
Why?
love it.
Why are they buying vinyls now as opposed to streaming content?
Mm.
Cause they not original.
What is it about a vinyl? We all have had a vinyl. We know what they are. I ain't gonna ask that question. But what is it about the sound of a vinyl that you can't get through a streaming platform? Or have you ever
See,
really paid attention to it?
I
I've
have,
never paid attention.
but I feel like the sound difference was more so like back in the day. To me now, depending on what's available on a vinyl,
Hmm.
it can still sound a little similar. The reason why I like the vinyls, I think it's dope for collection purposes, but also when you think about streaming as an artist, a lot of times artists are losing money
Hmm.
with streaming.
I
So
hear
that's
you.
my biggest thinking.
Can you do auto tunes on the vinyl?
Yeah, because all the work is done in the studio. The vinyl is
Okay,
just more so how it's presented after the mix and mastering has been done.
I was just asking. I,
And
I just
so when you think about vinyls, though, it's that sound right there, and you know it's finna kick in. You know you about to get something, but you got to put in work too. Because remember, with a vinyl, it's an A side and it's a B side. You can't just loop that thing all the way through. it's going to stop, and you're gonna have to put in some work to switch it over and do those things. But for me personally, there's a smoother, especially like if it's a older vinyl, like somebody like Gil Scott Heron. Like I'm not gonna be able to stream a Gil Scott Heron album, but that vinyl is gonna be key to somebody that I love from that era, and it's just something about that sound that's appealing to not just my ears and my senses, but it's appealing to my senses. It wakes me up. It gives me a certain type of different mojo, gusto, whatever you want to call it, to do that when it is. But I see we getting a little late, so we're going to take this second. We're going to jump right to a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back with final thoughts and wrap up for the evening. All right?
Oh no, we don't have
Okay.
anyone for like, you know, the scary horror, that kind of like that area of
Freak it out.
things. You know, yeah, it's like not that we don't enjoy those things, but you know, we didn't have like a resident geek for that area, so it's nice to have some of that.
No, like I'm a self-proclaimed like scaredy cat, so therefore like you like just to let y'all know, like if y'all want to watch the shows, like I gotta schedule in the daytime. Because
Yeah.
watching things at night is not the move for me.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Mondays at 8 p.m. Check out Geeking Out, which our girl Rakia Ricky Z is gonna be on there. That's a show that she's on. Check them out. That's our brother sister show. That's a them show. I don't know what pronouns to show you. It's a show. Bam.
So we talked a lot, y'all, about some of the good things. We talked about the bad things. We talked about the in between things. What's your overall response to music? What is it? What is it to you? I hate to quote bad movies, but like, when did you first fall in love with hip hop?
I was so thinking the same thing.
I would say if you want to listen to some good music, listen to Etta James sing "Old MacDonald." It would change your life. That's my final thought.
Okay.
'Cause it
I'm
was
with you, Terry, because I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. We're gonna move right on
I
past
mean,
We
it.
can plug our favorite artists too, I guess.
Like he's about to say, "Hey Siri."
Tell Siri to play Etta James singing "Old MacDonald," and you would never sing "Old MacDonald" sing.
I was gonna call somebody else's name, but she'll actually respond.
That part.
Yeah, you can't say her name because mine's right here too. Let's just lock her.
She be meddling.
Yeah. I think my final thought would be is just like reality, don't let the music make you. Let the music pick the music that listen to music that's going to transform you and not try to put you with the in crowd.
Okay. Chevette?
I'm a music lover, so the more we talk about this, it just brings me back to the one thing I always have on my website. One of my quotes is, "It's not just music; it's a movement," and I really still feel that way even now. The movement may have changed just a little bit, but it's not just music, and I think we do need to pay more attention to what we take in, like Arteria was saying. But I also feel like you can find the music that speaks to your heart. Remember that there's more music that is out there than just the music that's on the radio. I love underground artists. They are my favorite. I'm gonna keep plugging them. If y'all don't already know who he is, go on and get all those PJ Morton records because I love them and everything.
Mad love. So for me, there is every major moment in my life I can tie to music, right? Whether it's good, it's happy, it's sad, it's a good, bad, indifferent, whatever. I think, it's an important part of our history. It's an important part of our culture. And it's an important part of expression. Music is supposed to be a form of therapy. It's supposed to be a form of self-expression. It's supposed to be something that highlights the realities of what people are living with or what we do, what we deal with. I think, it can be positive, it can be negative, it can be all of those things. It could be your best friend, it could be your worst enemy. Depends on the day. It can change your mood. It can make you feel good, it can make you sad. It has such a power and a magnitude, but that's what it's supposed to do. And so I think all of that to say, again, I started this off by saying I'm embracing my inner Janelle Monáe with my black and white. I love Janelle Monáe. And let me tell you why I rock with Janelle Monáe. Because Janelle Monáe started as an underground artist.
Yes.
and worked and fought her way to the top through this whole mainstream experience. And through that, she did exactly what music did. She then had to evolve to be able to become the version of her that she wanted to be to produce the music that she wanted to produce. Another great example of that is Dawn Richard, who is one of my favorites.
Yes, I
Dawn
love Don
started
Richard.
Dawn started off as a solo act before becoming a member of Danity Kane, then
hmm
still pushed through to do all of the things independently to get to where she is now because she wanted a more authentic sound. It's okay to not listen to, things because that's what everybody else is doing. Most of the people that I listen to are either like 80s or 90s music and people like, oh my God, you listen to that? Or it's somebody that people have never heard of. And that's okay. Make your
Yeah.
choices, make your decisions, make your distinctions. Have the music in your heart, have the music in your life. Let it be your friend, let it guide you, but you take control. Doc, take us out.
Music makes you lose control. Music makes you lose control. Let's go. that's what I should have my plan thought. All right, guys, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of No Clue. Remember, like us on Facebook, share us on Facebook, join the Facebook group, subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on YouTube, reblog us on YouTube, like us on Instagram, like us on Twitter, like us on what's the thing that the gamers be on? Twitch. Like us on Twitch. Support us on what can you support us on? What's it called?
Patreon.
Support
Not
us on
Patreon.
Patreon. Y'all know I was gonna say that. I was gonna go Greek with it. Support us on Patreon, guys. Support the show. We love what we do. We love talking to you. We love interacting with you. Let's do it. Let's make 2022 the best year we can make it. All right, 2022. It is for you because you know what? This is a great house. I love you guys. Have a great week.
Preach.
We'll see y'all next week. And then just remember, when you think you got life figured out, you realize you have what?
No
No
clue.
clue.
And Millie, when you walk, because you walk, when you're Millie. Peace!
Oh my Jesus.
Thanks, guys. Love you guys.
That was awesome.
Thank you
know.
guys for being
What's
flexible.
next week?
You
Arteria
right?
Show.
That's you.
I'm about
No
to tell you
label, right?
now. Yep, labels. Labels is next week.
What if I came dressed like an entire dude that week?
That's fine.
Then you go, ooh, I was about to say something, get in trouble. I was about to say something, and the Holy Ghost caught me because it was going to be disrespectful.
Oh,
Thank y'all for being flexible enough to do this because I know Rakia got to go get ready for her show.
oh yeah.
So, holla at y'all later.
Bye. Have a good week, y'all.
You
Y'all
too.
too.